Welcome to MIA
2K.
Your ticket from Miami to Seoul.
We're Kathy and Laura, and we're so happy you could join us today.
You probably know us from, just kidding, you don't know us yet. We're just two Miami girls with obsessive fandom tendencies who fell into the inescapable void of Korean entertainment. And we're here to share our insights and spill all the tea only grown fans like us can enjoy.
We've done all the research and acclimating so you don't have to. Before we begin, please make sure you're following us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you love visuals like us, you can watch us on our YouTube channel. We drop episodes with our hot and sunny takes every week. Hi, guys.
Hello.
This is the last episode of the season and of the year, actually.
Woo, woo, woo.
We're really excited to have made it to 30 episodes. Just so you guys know, we're going to do a giveaway to celebrate our anniversary and the end of season 2. So stay tuned until the end of the episode for those details.
Yes.
And today's episode is a continuation of our stories from our time in South Korea. Today specifically, we'll be talking about Daegu and Seoul.
Let's just jump right in, okay? So, as I mentioned, and you might have heard on the episode about the logistics and for our trip, Laura wasn't really interested in going to Daegu because most of the activities seem very like nature driven, and she's allergic to half of nature. So she's like, we could go like whatever. But I obviously, because Suga, Bumgyu, Tae, Hyunsuk, Key, like half of my bias line are all from Daegu. I feel very emotionally attached and attacked by the city on a regular basis. So I was like, there are things to do. Like, this is what we can do. And there's a cool cable car, whatever. So she said, look, it's literally the only time that we'll be able to ride the KTX because all our other transfers between cities are by plane. So let's do it. And I was like, yes. So we got to Busan train station. Laura bought some food that she was interested in trying, which ended up being deadly to her because
killing me. Woohoo!
Because
Love
again,
that.
allergies. And she started like on the train being like, I feel a little weird. And I was like, fuck my life. So, and then we got to Daegu and there were no pharmacies open because it was a Sunday. So she was like, I guess I'm just gonna raw dog it or whatever for the rest of the day. I don't know what
Be
to call
okay
it.
with it.
Yeah, she was just gonna
Hope to not die.
power through it. Yeah. So our first and only planned activity for that day was the absent cable car. So we got on a bus, and then as soon as we were like at the bus stop and they were waiting for that bus to take us to the absent park, I told Laura, if you see bus 724, I need you to pinch me with your entire like bodily power because that's the bus that Suga used to ride. And I am emotionally attached to possibly just like seeing that bus from the streets and just like, waving past it, whatever. Like that's kind of my idea. That was literally all I really wanted for the day. I had no ulterior motives beyond that. So whatever, we go to Absent Park, we go up the cable car. It was super cute. It was really adorable. Laura put me like front and center so I could like record the uphill climb or like the ascent, I guess it's called. And there were really cute kids in the cars with their moms, like
So
talking, like
cute.
adorable. So we got up to the top. The view was beautiful. The ice cream was really great. We stayed up there for a little bit, trying to figure out what we were gonna do once we came back down. We came back down. We got on the bus. At this point, we're kind of heading towards either a market or just like the center of the city so we can figure out what to do next. Laura had seen, and I had told her, like, I dragged you to Daegu, so you pick wherever you want to eat. And we had seen there was like a tripe alley, which like I was probably only going to be able to eat the rice, but I was okay with that because, again, Laura came to Daegu for me. So she was going to be able to eat whatever she wanted. And then while we're on the bus, Laura is like looking at the train times to go back to Busan. And she's like, Kathy, there are no times to go back. And I was like, no fucking way. And she's like, there literally is no fucking way to go back to Busan right now. So long story short, this is already in our episode for the logistics, so I won't go into too much detail, but we ended up getting tickets to go back to Busan at like 9 p.m. for like 4 times the price, which is fine. It is what it is. But by that point, I think it was like 2 or 3 p.m. So we still had a long we had a long, like we had 6 hours basically to play now in the city in Daegu. So we were gonna go to a market, but then we ended up just going to the March 1st Independent Trail and Steps because that was a K-drama thing, and also ATEEZ celebrated their anniversary there last year. So it was footage that we were familiar with. So we just like took pictures around there, whatever. And then instead of going to Tribe Alley, Laura found Short Rib Alley, which was slightly less traumatizing for me and my palate. So we were walking towards it, and we're walking down the street, and then I see a banner of Yoongi. And I'm like, I literally go, you know, and Laura's like, what? And because she's just looking at like the map. And I'm like, it's Yoongi. So we stop, whatever. And she goes, this is BAS Entertainment Academy. And I was like, no way. And so that's where he learned to do his producing skills, whatever. And we're just like taking pictures, blah, blah, blah. And
Wait.
then,
Before you get to that part,
okay.
I just want to say that we got to BAS Academy by mistake
Yes.
because we finished the ATEEZ, whatever, like
Yeah.
taking pictures at the same church and all of that stuff. And we were actually going to take a bus to go to the really
Short
big
Rib Alley.
park. No, we were gonna go to the really big park.
Oh, I
Remember?
forgot about the park.
Yeah,
Yes.
we were gonna go to a really big park, which was the opposite end of the Short Rib.
Yeah.
Once I realized that it was the short, like the opposite end, I was like, Kathy, I think I prefer the food.
Yeah.
And she's like, whatever, it's fine. I don't really
Yeah.
care. So we were like in the middle of the street trying to figure it out. And like we just kind of went back to where we were because I guess we felt safer or just trying to orient ourselves that way. And as we're going that way, the map starts to show me like a different route to take. So like we start walking, and that's when all of a sudden we're right in front of the academy, like
Correct.
just walking, and
Correct.
then all of a sudden this big picture of Suga shows up.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah. And so just to make a note of this, I didn't go to Daegu with a specific agenda. If I had been alone, because I do feel comfortable traveling alone, I would have gone to Yoongi's elementary school because he posted the picture about that earlier this year when he was like, they were all on time off and he kind of went to his hometown, whatever. But I didn't really want to plan like this whole stop of all of like famous places of Yoongi's life because I was trying to be considerate of Laura. So I was just like trying to find a middle ground, and I was just like, we'll just figure out when we're there, like whatever we're feeling like doing. So I am cognizant of the fact that we could have planned all of these stops,
Right.
but it was so much better that we didn't because the surprise of it just made it epic. It was just like if we had planned it, it wouldn't have been as good or as like mind-blowing as it was.
Because we didn't plan it, it didn't feel exhausting. It just felt fun. It felt like an adrenaline rush. Like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, it's happening right now. Like, what?
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, we got to hit these 10 different places within this amount of time. Like, it just felt more like organic.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. 100%. Like, it just, that day will forever be one of the most memorable days of our lives. And like that trip, just because so many great things happened and none of it was planned. It all like caught us off guard, complete by surprise. So now that Laura specified we were supposed to go to the park, we went the other way. We get to BAS Academy by complete mistake. And I'm just taking pictures with Yoongi and like the poster on the building and just looking at the thing. And then at that point, we were again trying to get to Short Rib Alley. And Laura was looking at the map and she's like, okay, we're going to get on bus 156 like that. It's on the way. And I was like, okay, cool. And then she's just like looking at her phone and flipping the map. And Laura's always looking for like the best alternative route and the best versus fastest versus more walking or less walking or the subway plus the metro. She is alternative queen. So she was just like very focused on the task at hand. And I'm just like taking pictures with Yoongi because, whatever. So then she hears a bus coming as I'm just in my Delulu life. And then she's like, is that bus 156? And I look up and I'm like, no, it's 724. 724. Laura, it's bus 724. And I start screaming and like almost crying. And I'm just like, There's pictures of all of this. Well, not really. Like Laura took a couple of pictures, but in the moment, like I'm usually the picture taker.
She
I
was
was
not.
out of commission.
Like
The
I
math,
just
the math was not mathing.
I just want to point out because it really was. Kathy takes pictures of literally everything. I take pictures of nothing. So as soon as she says 724, she's just standing there, like not believing that it's the same bus. And I'm like, Kathy, go take a picture with it. So she's like, okay, okay, okay. So she runs to take a picture with the bus because we were right next to the bus stop almost. So like we're running and she stands there and I'm like trying to take pictures before it leaves. And
Yeah.
she's just like so happy. And I'm like, wait a second, can we take this fucking bus? And I was like, Kathy, just get on, we'll figure it out.
Just get on.
So like she's like, wait, we're getting on. I'm like, just we're gonna go do it.
And
So we
then
got
and
on.
then in South Korea they still have enforced the like you have to wear mask indoors and in public transportation. So I'm trying to find my T money card and find my mask and I can't function, guys. Like I and Laura's like looking at me like, bitch, you're gonna miss the fucking bus. And I'm just like, mask, card, like how? Like I can usually keep my cool under pressure.
It's true.
And I don't really get like out of body experiences a lot unless I'm like, I don't know, in severe danger or like in the Lululand in Daegu and living my best life, clearly. So the shock of the moment was just too much for me and my little heart. And then we managed to get on the bus. We sat on some seats and I was just looking out the window, thinking of all the times that Yoongi rode that bus, thinking if he had put his butt on that chair, thinking of all the hard times that he went through when he was choosing between eating or going to the production studio to like make beats so he could get like some sort of career options and be able to provide for his family. Like the emotional like ness of it all. Like
Roller coaster.
it was a lot.
It was so much that the only picture we have inside the bus is a picture I took, which is like
I have a video inside the bus because I guess like I thought about the thing, and by a video I mean like a half a millisecond of a moment that you can't see anything. Like it is so ridiculous, like the way that I was out of it. Like out of body experience, could not function. My brain was not here. It was just like pure emotionalness. That was it. That's all I had to give in that moment.
it's true.
So the good thing was that Laura, while actually having a functioning brain, was able to figure out that the bus was actually not going to leave us too far off from Short Rib Valley. So it was like just taking a different route, but it was perfect. So we get off the bus and I'm just like, again, in disbelief, shock. I'm just like, you know what? I could die right now. Like this is it. It's fine. I've seen it all. I've done it all. So I'm just like and on cloud nine, you know. We're walking, Laura is looking at the map. I'm just not there. I'm just, you know, smiling like a fucking idiot. And then we're kind of going through some streets. Like it's at this point it's around 5 p.m. So it's kind of getting a little darker. We're going through some streets that are not main streets, so they're not heavily trafficked. And Laura was like,
Or
you know
well
what?
lit.
We're or well lit. And she's like, you know what? Let's go through like this main street to go to the restaurant. I was like, okay, cool. Like, she's literally just stringing me around like a dog, like walking. I am not in my five senses or any of them, really. We're walking and we see this like big poster banner thing of like idols looking people. And I'm just staring at it. Again, math is not mathing, brain is not braining. I can't think of anything. And Laura goes, is that a cup sleeve? And I was like, shut the fuck up. And so here's the thing in Miami, okay, this is a 30-second journey into my life with cup sleeves, right? At the beginning of the year, I saw like TikTokers going to cup sleeve events in like California and stuff. And I was like, who would leave their house for like a cardboard piece? Like the fuck? And I like now fast forward to now, I literally go to every cup sleeve event that I possibly can, collect them and advertise them. And I'm just so fascinated by them. And then I actually looked into them and I saw that they originated in Korea, whatever. But I never even brought up the idea to Laura to like possibly go to a cup sleeve event because like, you know, how are we going to time that? Are we really going to find one in the city that we're going to? It didn't make sense
A
at all.
lot of logistics.
Yeah, and cup sleeves are not really Laura's thing either. So we're just like, what's the point of like, you know, I was like, this trip is K-popified enough. We
Yeah.
don't have to like add this to the agenda. So we never even looked into it. And the fact that we ran into one in Daegu, it was
Out
just
of
like,
nowhere. It
like
was
had
so funny.
the timing of it all, like the random decision making that it took for the day to play out the way that it did. It was amazing. So the cup sleeve was for the boys. And we have a TikTok explaining this little story, but again, just really quickly, we were looking inside like idiots, just like fascinated by the whole thing.
Trying to figure out too if it was a cup sleeve or if it was just a picture of like the boys on
Right.
the
Because
like
to
it
me,
could
it
have
kind of
been.
looked like a crafting thing. Like it looked kind of
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
pottery shop almost
Yeah.
without pottery. Like, I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes any
No,
sense.
no, I
But that was the vibe. And like it wasn't like here where there's like all these vendors. So like it was a very different vibe from the cup sleeves that we know here.
mm-hmm.
So we're staring inside, these two girls at the door who are like attending, but like at the table sitting down. They're kind of looking at us and they're smiling and they start waving and we're like, is
What?
is is us, like us, the foreigners? Are you me? So they're kind of like almost inviting us to come in, and Laura and I look at each other like, should we? Do we? Like, because again, we don't have any plans. Like, we're gonna go to dinner, but no, we don't
Yeah.
have a reservation or anything. So we're just like, fuck it, let's go in. So we go in and we are trying to say hi to the girls. They're super, super, super sweet.
The
They
cutest.
could speak some English. And then they were trying to ask us questions about like what groups do we like. And I was like, well, I know the word like is choyo. So I was like, BTS choyo, Stray Kids choyo, Monsta X choyo, everybody choyo, like all of them. And we were like, the cup sleeve was for the boys. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it at this point, but the cup sleeve was for the group, the boys. So I was like, the boys choyo. And they were like, who's your bias? And I was like, Kevin choyo. And then Laura, I think, was saying that she liked a couple of members.
And Suno? Is that how you say it? I feel like it
Younghoon
is.
and Sonu, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's Sun Woo, so that's some. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So yeah, and then we went to the counter to try to figure out like, what to order. And there was like a Monster X wall, and Laura was staring at that. And I was looking at all the cups inside. And even still, we took a good amount of pictures, and we didn't take like a lot for
Oh,
what we would have in a regular setting. But I think we were
yeah.
too shook, too
We
stunned
were
to
too
speak,
excited.
too
Too
excited,
excited.
too much in the moment. Laura was trying to figure out what drink didn't have caffeine so that it wouldn't keep her up for like the rest of her life because it was late at that point. So I ended up ordering, I think, like iced tea, and I don't know what she ordered. You had a chocolate?
I actually ordered something with caffeine because we realized that they gave the drinks in a bottle. So we were like, oh, in my head, I was like, I can just drink this tomorrow. So I got a chocolate latte,
Right.
and it was actually really cool because it was in a bottle. I love
Yeah.
that.
They gave you a whole little bag with like a little glass jar bottle with a drink inside, the cup, and then another little baggie inside with like stickers and the poster of the event and some photo strips. And it was really, really cute.
Very cute.
So we were really excited with our bags. We walk out, we say bye to our little friends that we made at the front, and we leave. And we're walking on the street, just like, again, smiling like idiots, like, can't believe this is happening. Like, Laura it was not a capitalist smile. It was grin from ear to ear because it was just so cute. And Laura loves cute things. Like,
I
cute things
do.
will destroy Laura. So we're walking on the street, and then we hear like running behind us. And we're like, we kind of turn around. So one of our friends literally ran after us like a whole block to the fact that I'm calling her my friend, like, wow, the delusion, the level of delusion. She ran out and she was like, she had these two stickers and she goes, all I have, or something really like heart shattering of like,
It
I
was
don't
like
have
a
anything else, but this is whatever. So she gave us like extra stickers of the boys. And I was like ready to cry. And I was like, can we please take a picture all together? And she was like, yeah. So we went back to like towards the cafe to take a picture. And then the other girl that didn't run after us was like, Instagram, follow for follow. And like, oh my God, it was the
I
cutest
almost
fucking.
died.
I think Laura was about to explode. Her head was about to like set on fire.
I really do like cute
It
things.
was so freaking cute. And we were like, yes, Instagram, follow for follow. Of course, we will follow you guys to the end of the world. And so we all followed each other. We took the picture. Again, if you see the pictures of it, Laura's face is just like I don't think I've ever seen her this happy in my whole life, and I've known her for 12
Living her
years,
best life.
honestly. So we walk away with like, how do we even top this? Like, how does it get any better than this? And then we get to the restaurant that Laura found, which was really cool because it was the first like traditional restaurant where like they made you take your shoes off at the door. and there was nobody there. It was just us. The restaurant owners did not speak any English at all. It was wonderful. And then Laura, if you want to talk about the eating experience
I
there,
do.
because this was Laura's favorite meal. Let me start by
This
that.
was my favorite meal. Oh my God. So I decided to go for short rib because if you're from Miami and you've tried, well, if you're from South Florida or if you're Hispanic and you've tried Cuban cuisine, they have a thing called rabo encendido.
Mm.
And it's like delicious. And it's like basically the same thing.
Which for
It's
English speakers, by the way, rabo encendido means butt on fire. So
Yeah, it's tail, it's not oxtail, but it's a tail. But
I'm
it's
not a meat
braced.
person. Hmm.
It's braced and it's freaking delicious. My parents and I love it. So I was like, you know what? I need to try the Korean version of rabo encendido. So we chose this place. We get there, we sit down. We're the only foreigners, or
We're
literally
the
the only
only
people
people there.
there.
No,
Yeah.
it was a big place that you could tell gets really packed during the week or at
Yeah.
nights. But we since it was like 5 or something, it wasn't quite dinner time yet.
Yeah.
So we were the first people there for like that shift. So they just, they welcomed us in, and it was a really nice lady cooking in the kitchen and a man who was running kind of the menu and the cashier and all that stuff.
We order the short rib and like I'm worried that's gonna be a lot of food because I was like, what if like Kathy's not really gonna eat this? Like I'm gonna have to eat this. We're the only people here. If we leave food, like que pena, like this is I was freaking out for nothing because the food came. I basically ate it all and it was the most delicious meal of my life.
Yeah.
Like the beef was so soft and like the sauce and everything was delicious and all of the side dishes that they brought complemented the meat really well.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The kimchi was perfect. Nothing was too spicy. And we ordered some rice wines. We
Ugh.
ordered 2 bottles, like one for each, which was a little out of pocket, but YOLO.
No, it wasn't.
I
You
mean,
know
it
why I know
seemed
it
well,
wasn't?
you were freaking out at first before we got the bottles. You were
Oh
like, "We
yes.
got one each." And I was like, "Yeah, bro, like
You
celebration
know
time, come on."
you know why it wasn't? Because the guy there and the lady there were sort of proud that we ordered one for each.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they
We did
gave
the
us a
right
face
thing.
of like, oh yeah, that's right. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? If you say
They
so,
were like,
ma'am.
"They're foreigners, but they're
Sure.
cool." Totally.
Oh, the
Totally.
food was so good.
I tried a little bit of the meat. I'm not really like a meat person. I only really whatever long stories that are not relevant right now, but I'm not really a meat person. But I did try a little bit of it, and it was very good. It was easy to
So
eat, and
good.
we had perilla leaves, and we had
Yeah.
like so many the all the little side dishes were just really delicious, and it was a really great meal. And we were
So
watching like there was
good.
like a show in the background that they were playing some like survival show, which was great. Compliment.
So
Then some
good.
people arrived after that. They were getting the table set for them before they arrived, so
Yeah.
they like called the head. So when we left, there was another table that
Yeah.
had gone there, and it was really good. It
It was
was really,
amazing.
really, it like Laura could not like be more happy with
I
just the
couldn't.
whole thing. Like she was like,
I couldn't.
I was not about this city. Like I was not looking forward to coming here, but just this trip, like just the food and everything that happened that day completely made it an amazing day. So
It was so good.
yeah, it was great.
I
It was
miss
great.
that food.
I know. I know. She really enjoyed the shit out of that.
I
She
really
left
did.
nothing, like bones, don't know them. Like
we
there was
also
nothing left.
we also didn't have lunch. We had breakfast, but we didn't have lunch. So
No,
like that
yeah,
was our
yeah.
first meal.
And
So
we
I was
didn't really
starving.
have breakfast because it killed you. It almost killed
True.
you. So we didn't eat
I
like
had a
all
coffee.
day. Eh,
But it was it was so good.
we didn't have any substance during the day,
Mm-mm.
anything to really hold our stomach. So that was really our first meal, and it
It
was a great first and last meal for
was
Daegu.
so good.
And then the rest of the story is really quick. We just went to Kim Kwang-suk Street, which is he's one of the most famous singers that kind of your favorite singer. He inspired a lot of the Korean musicians today. He sang about important issues, and he has like a whole street dedicated to him in Daegu because I believe that's where he passed away, or that's where he lived like his final years. So it's a really cute and quaint street. It has a
Very
bunch of
cute.
little restaurants and like things to do. You can get a log and put it on a wall. You can write things on chalkboard, like, I was here, and lots of little picture opportunities. And then Laura was like, if you saw our episode from last week, she was on a beer mission all day, every day. So she was like, oh, beer. And we saw a bar and we went and like sat down, had some beers. And then she went on another one. But then she saw that they could can the beer on the spot. And she was like, oh, I'm taking this to go and I'm going to live my best life packing tomorrow with the canned beer. And then, yeah, from there, we ran to the station. We made it to the train right on time. So we
Yeah.
took a train to Busan because movie names and titles and references are my cup of tea. And that was our trip to Daegu. And it was incredible. So thank you, Laura, for finding the one thing that was going to make the trip redeemable for you and then having the best time. It was probably my favorite day of the whole trip just
Yeah.
because of all the unexpected surprises, plot twists, and gifts from the universe to us. So it was an amazing time.
It really was.
And yeah, that was Daegu. Highly recommend.
For sure. Braised beef, braised short ribs.
Yeah.
Mm, so good. I'm so hungry now.
I feel bad for anyone who's watching or listening who might be hungry right now. They are hating life. We're sorry.
You know what though? We're used to it because we watch K dramas here. And
Facts.
every time I watch K drama, I am so hungry.
Facts.
So before we move to Seoul, I want to take a little bit of a little pause, take it back to the night before in Jeju, our final night. And this thing that happened, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but this thing that happened sort of
impacted
Seoul heavily.
Yeah.
Kathy, please.
What happened was Laura and I bought a bunch of soju. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't really have to do with soju. Soju wasn't the problem, but we bought some soju and Laura was supposed to drink with me. And we were thinking about possibly going into the hot tub for the second night because we did it the first night. We were packing, whatever. Laura decides to pass out and completely bail on the plan.
I couldn't keep up, Kathy. My eyes were closing on me. Like it wasn't that I wanted to.
You left me hanging.
I just couldn't.
Yeah. And then the next day in Seoul, we had a photo shoot scheduled. So because of the photo shoot, I wanted to have, look my best, wash my hair, do my hair, curl my hair. So Laura had fallen asleep. So I turned off the lights to the room and I just had like the bathroom light kind of on. And I don't like to do my hair in the bathroom standing because I just like to be comfortable. So I was in my bed with no lights. I'm just setting the scene for you with my very hot curling iron. I was sitting on the bed with my legs crossed, lights off. I was using my phone as a mirror, which like without lighting, it was very grainy and I couldn't really see anything. And so I started doing my hair like the usual way that I always curl it. And then I get to like the very end at the top of my hair. And I have this thing that I do when I curl my hair that I like, I'm trying to, if you're watching, I'm going to try to show it with the remote. That like I grab a piece of hair, like a chunk, right? And I wrap it around the curling wand in such a way that if I hold my hair with one hand, I can let the other hand go down and not hold the curling wand like handle because I'm lazy. So I did my whole hair like that, and I always do my whole hair like that, whatever. So I did that with the last little thing on my head, but the lack of lighting and not seeing and like miscalculation on how much hair was actually holding, I ended up dropping my curling iron hot, steaming at the highest setting on my leg, bare because I was wearing shorts. And yeah, so I gave myself a 2nd-degree burn in Jeju Island the night before going to Seoul.
Yeah.
And Laura was sleeping, so I couldn't scream.
I didn't notice. She had kept the lights on. I still wouldn't have noticed because I fell asleep with the lights.
She had told me like throughout the trip, like, you can leave the lights on, it's fine. But I just feel bad bothering people when they're trying to sleep. So I just turned it off and whatever. Anyway, we wake up the next day and we need to go to the airport, take a trip to Seoul, get on a train 1 hour to the inside the city to Bukchon Hanok village, get like change or put some makeup on and fix ourselves at the Hanok that we were staying at, leave to go to the Hanbok place to rent a Hanbok, then go to close to Gyeongbok Palace and meet our photographer, all by 3 p.m., guys. All by 3 p.m.
We arrived in Seoul at like 11:30 or 12.
Because and we had to pick up our SIM card at the different terminals. So yeah, we had a lot to do.
It was packed.
In like it was 2.5 hours. Days. Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah, but it was the only time that we're going to be able to make any of this happen. So we were very like cognizant, like it is what it is. We have to like run and go for
Yeah.
it. So in the morning before I left Jeju, I had some like minor first aid things on me. So I had used those the night before, like right when I burned myself. I had like like an antiseptic or an astringent or something very strong to like not get an infection, and some like aloe base cream kind of thing. So that's what I put on. And then in the morning at the airport in Jeju, I finessed some really like high class toilet paper over the thing with like band-aids that were barely holding on for dear life. So when we get to Seoul and we're literally running around the freaking city in hanboks, I don't know. It was just a lot. By this point, Laura still had not seen my burn. Like because I just told her in the morning, like I burned myself last night, but she didn't really like think it was like a thing or whatever.
Because I didn't hear screaming. Like I just thought it was like a little burn. Like I've burned myself with my hair
Sure.
straightener. So I just thought it was something like that. That like it hurts, but like it's fine. It just turns red and then it gives like a little bit of a scar and then you move on, sort of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
So, well, I will leave a little bit more detail of the photo shoot and everything for after this. I'm just gonna finish the story, but of the burn. So when we get back from the shoot, like I at like 7 p.m. I told like after we finished the shoot, whatever, I told Laura I can't walk anymore. Like I'm in a lot of pain right now. I literally can't hang anymore. So we go back to the hotel or the Hanok, and we had stopped at a pharmacy to get some bandages and whatever to just like have something better than what I had at the time, which was nothing. And when we get to the room, I take off my pants and Laura sees like the toilet paper and the band-aids from the day from like earlier that were completely shattered, and my wound was raw, and all of like the denim material, like little fuzzies, had gone in there. So it looked really bad. Like really bad.
So the little burn that I thought was not a big deal was not what it was. It was probably the size of my hand in terms of lengthwise. I have pretty big hands for a
Uh,
girl.
it was it
It's
was
it was
about like
That's literally my
three,
hand,
four
Kathy.
inches. No, it's not. It was like the size
Almost.
of my middle finger, kind of.
Almost. It looked bigger because the area around it that wasn't burned was also inflamed because
Yeah.
that area was very, very burned.
Yeah.
So it just looked huge.
Yeah.
And then, like, she shows me this, and I'm like, oh
Not
my
on purpose.
God.
I literally was just taking off my clothes and she sees it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's so big. Like, you can't
And because
not
also
see it.
like it's kind of gross. So I didn't want to like be like, hey, because I know she's a little squeamish.
I
So
am
I didn't want
squeamish.
to show her. I was just like, it was not on purpose. I just took off my pants and everything had fallen off.
It was big enough like you couldn't miss it. So
I
I
couldn't
see
hide
it
it. Yeah.
and I'm like, you've been walking and doing all of these things with this fucking bird?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I probably would have passed out after like 30 minutes. Like even in Jeju, I probably would have passed out. Like I'm a little baby when it comes to pain. I'm a little baby when it comes to
Blood.
seeing things that
Yeah.
have blood.
Yeah.
So like just when I saw it, like I couldn't believe it, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And because it was such a big burn and it was a second-degree burn, this was something that she had to deal with the whole trip. And sometimes, obviously, I'm not the one in pain. And even though I know she's in pain, like we're trying to do so many things that I would forget.
Yeah.
But like as soon as I would see it at night or I would remember it, all I could think of was, how the fuck is she walking right now? Like, how is she able to do this?
Yeah.
My brain still cannot understand.
Yeah. It
Like
was
I
it was a mind over matter thing that I was just like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Even if we come back, I don't it's never gonna be the same trip. It's never gonna be the first
Mhm.
time here. And it was literally like our first time in Seoul. Like we were
Yeah.
just arriving to Seoul. So we hadn't gotten to experience the city any other way. So whatever. If you're wondering if I went to the hospital or not, I thought about going to the hospital exclusively to bring you guys the content of how it is to go to a hospital in Korea. I really thought about it. And we had plans to go to the hospital the next day. We had kind of included it in our agenda. We did have something purchased for a ticket. But we met these German girls at the Hanok we were staying, and one of them was a chef. And she's like, I've burned myself a million times. You don't really need to go to the hospital for that. And honestly, the hospitals here will kind of give you the runaround and send you like to a bunch of different like doctors, and it's a lot of waiting for nothing. Just go to the pharmacy, use Papago, type in I need burn cream, and they will give it to you, and you'll be better off and you'll be good. And I was like, okay. I took the advice from the girls, and we did go to the pharmacy that afternoon of the next day on Friday. So I burned myself Wednesday night. Didn't really get it treated with medicine until Friday afternoon. And yeah, I kind of managed with what I had, the what I bought, and these bandages that like we try to find these bandages in a bunch of different places, could never find the same bandage again. So I
Yeah.
just we used different bandages the whole trip. And then I asked my brother back home to make an appointment at my dermatologist for the day after we landed. And I ended up just getting it treated back here in the States. It's closed up now. It didn't get infected. It's fine. I wanted to get a tattoo in Korea, but I guess I just branded myself instead to have my for life souvenir on my body of the experience. It's fine. It is what it is. But
Mm,
it did, like Laura said, impact our whole time in Seoul. There were a couple of days that I really was like, I can't walk anymore. Cause it would, as much as I bandaged it and everything,
it,
it's
it
uncomfortable. It
still
was
hurt.
itchy. It was
Yeah.
hurting. I burned off a bunch of nerve endings that were coming back. So, and there were like, it really got worse before it got better. Cause the first day when
Right.
I burned it, only a small piece of skin had come off. But as the trip progressed, more skin was coming off. So it was more
Yeah.
exposed and raw and more painful. So it really
Yeah.
did get worse before it got better.
And we were in Seoul and I didn't have a burn, but I was really tired. We already had a whole week that we had done a lot of things. So like not only was Kathy burned, but she was burnt and tired. Like we were towards the end of our trip. So it was like it was a mixture of like exhaustion and pain.
Yeah. Yeah. That, very that.
So even if it just had been exhaustion, like it still would have like I still feel like it affected our soul part of the trip just because I was just tired. Like we were just actually tired.
Yeah.
Like we kept going because it was our trip and like whatever, we were there for the first time, but your 30s are different, guys.
They really are. And the crazy thing is, like, whenever we were in the trip, like a couple of days later, Laura was like, we took so many chill days. And I was like, Laura, on Friday, we didn't go anywhere because my leg was literally dying. The rest of the days, every day, we were going nonstop. Like, we didn't have chill days. And she was just hallucinating in the moment because she just wanted to do more and more and more. But yeah, so that was that. That was that
Uh,
experience.
so with that,
So,
we get to Seoul. We managed to make it to our photo shoot. And I say manage because I was freaking out about timing. And then at this point, it was halfway through our trip. We had somehow made all of our timelines work.
mm-hmm.
So as I'm freaking out that we're not going to make it, I was like, Laura, we have had so many times where you're also freaking out and we've made it. This is going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess it is. And it was. Like our times in the trip worked so perfectly that like I'm
God
not quite sure
choreographed
how.
them. Yeah,
Literally, like
literally.
we had to take the exact bus and we would always take the exact bus, the exact like subway train. And like it was our first time, so we could have missed it, but we never missed one. So it
Mm.
was just like everything worked out just right.
Mhm.
We actually even got to the place before the photographer, like maybe 5 minutes before, 2 minutes
Yeah,
before, which
we had
like
a couple minutes to spare. Yeah.
what the
But
hell?
we were also very diligent. Like Laura and I are both very much cognizant and understanding of the situation. So like
Yeah.
for example, we could have taken a long time. So just to explain, before going on the trip, one of the things that we were talking about was Laura brought up the idea of us dressing in hanbok when we got to at some point during the trip. At first, I was a little concerned because I was like, could it be seen as cultural appropriation? I'm not really sure. But then I saw a lot of articles that said, like, number one, the locals actually kind of like it when they see people dressed in hanbok because it kind of preserves the culture and the tradition that they don't really even keep themselves anymore. And the other thing is that the palaces in some places around Seoul or wherever what city you're doing it in, will let you in for free if you're wearing a hanbok, which is literally an incentive for foreigners to do it or for anyone to do it. So I was like, okay, well, if we are going to do that, I think we should get a photographer because we are limited in what we can do and like what our phones can do. We're not planning on taking our cameras because we didn't have space for them. And also we couldn't really get good pictures together if we
Right.
just like put our phones on a selfie stick. So we found a really good photographer for a super fair price on Airbnb Experiences. His name is Kangen. His Instagram at is PHAT shrimp, fat shrimp, but with a PH. And we have him tagged on our videos about him and everything. But we found him. He actually had an injury recently, and he had to cancel like 3 photo shoots before ours, but he didn't cancel ours. Like when we tell you that the amount of things that like the universe had to put into place for everything to work as perfectly as it did, not just from our side, but from even other people's side, like the photographer, it was wild. So he literally recovered just enough to do our photo shoot, like right on time.
Yeah.
So we met up with him. We walked into Gyeongbok Palace. He went to buy his ticket because he wasn't dressed in hanbok like we were. So he had to pay for admission. And we went inside. He took us straight to all the places that, you know, beautiful things to take pictures of. And it was kind of near the golden hour time. So the
Yeah.
lighting was perfect. And that wasn't a sunny day. It was kind of cloudy. And that's the perfect lighting for pictures because it's not overexposed. It's literally perfect.
It was.
So we went around for like an hour and a half, I would say,
Yeah.
taking pictures, and he was telling us how to pose, and we did individual pictures as well as pictures together.
Mm-hmm.
And he would listen to us like hyping each other up, and Laura mentioned this in the episode about the logistics. So, you know, with Laura and I were like, yes, queen, get it, girl. Ooh, that looks good. And whatever, because we just watch Trixie Mattel and Katya all day, every day. So we just like talk like drag queens too. And then by the end of the photo shoot, he was like, that's it. Like, you know, kind of not with the snap and everything, but you know, he was
Almost.
giving the energy.
He was there.
He was in it.
He was about to be there.
He was in
It was
it.
very, very cute.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
He really was. I feel very awkward in pictures. I'm not very good at taking pictures. No, I'm good at taking pictures. I'm not good at being in front of the camera too much. And he made me feel very comfortable. Like it was a nice experience. I'm not traumatized by the amount of pictures we took, which was over 600.
Yeah, it was a
I don't think
lot
we
of
took that
pictures.
many in my engagement photo shoot. Like
It was a lot.
it was a lot.
He takes a lot of pictures of every second. And then at the end of the photo shoot, he pulled out a little converter dongle situation, pulled out his memory stick, and was like, whose phone do I put it in? But it was basically for an iPhone. So I was like, just put it in mine. So he connected the dongle to my iPhone, selected some import thing, and the pictures went right into my phone right after the photo shoot. So we didn't have to wait for them. And they were stunning. No edits, no nothing. You know,
They were
Laura
beautiful.
could color correct them a little bit if she wanted to, but they were great to begin with. Like we really didn't have to do anything to the pictures. So we had an amazing time. And we didn't mention this earlier, but we went to rent our hanboks at Bokchon Hanbok Rental, and the address is like 49 something. We'll tag it in the description, but they're amazing. The reason we went there was because when Laura brought up the idea of doing the hanbok rental, I was concerned about them having like inclusive sizing because I have a big ass and big hips. And I was like, if you know, if all they have is for like Korean standard sizes, I'm gonna need like 6 hanboks sewn together to be able to wear something. But I found this plus size, not plus size, but they're size inclusive store.
Yeah.
And I showed it to Laura, and they actually looked like they had cute things. And then when we went into the store, Laura saw the pictures that they had on the lockers. So Lino from Stray Kids and a couple of the kids from HYBE actually went to that store, and it's been shown on their vlogs before. So
Nikki, my son.
yeah, without even trying, like we ended up at, you know, following K-pop steps and things and whatever.
Yeah.
So that was the store that we got our hanbok rental stuff at. And I'm mentioning the plus size thing because it's been asked in our comments before if they were size inclusive. So yes, they are. And the owner is amazing, and her assistant as well. And they speak great English, and they can really help you out. So it was great.
The next day, we really didn't have a lot planned. Originally, we were going to go to the DMZ, which is the zone between South and North Korea, that like little part where it's like neutral zone. But we decided to cancel it because we realized that we were staying at the Hanok and it wouldn't work with like dropping off our stuff. It would just make the day very complicated. So instead, Kathy booked a makgeolli tasting
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically the only thing that we had planned for that day.
Yeah.
So we went to our makgeolli tasting. We did it. Well, Kathy, you can talk more about it because you're the one that booked it. But
Well, we found it on Airbnb experiences. It was recommended on Reddit a lot, specifically this tasting. The host, his name is Sam Sangchong, I believe, if I'm not wrong. And he does soju tastings, makgeolli tastings, and also he does hikes around Seoul.
mm,
So he has a very awesome portfolio of activities that you can do with him. But it's a very intimate thing. We were debating between the soju tasting and the makgeolli tasting, and the only reason we picked the makgeolli one was because of the time, because I think the soju ones were at night, and it was
yeah,
probably going to interfere with just like activities in general. But the makgeolli one was like at 1 in the afternoon or like at noon. So it was early
mhm,
enough in the day that we could still do a lot. And yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was very intimate. It was only us two and two other travelers that they were traveling solo, a guy and a girl.
yeah,
So we all kind of met there. And then at the tasting, Sam provided a list of like recommendations for things that we wanted to do. So like restaurants and things like that. And he mentioned like we were close to Itaewon. So that area where we were is kind of where all the foreigners are and where the army bases for US soldiers are at. And there's this thing called, or a dish called burejjigae, which is army stew, like a sausage spicy stew. And he was talking to us about how a long time ago when they basically would get like the leftover meat sent from the bases here over there, and they would just throw everything in the stew, and that's kind of like what army stew became. So he was like, if you guys want to try it, I recommend this one restaurant. So he called the restaurant ahead to let them know that 4 foreigners were coming, because then we kind of became friendly with the people that we did the tasting
yeah.
with, and we were like, let's just all go together. And we went, and it was a good time. The food
Yeah.
was really, really good at that place.
And then when we were talking, we had wanted to do like at least one night out,
Mm-hmm.
where like we went bar hopping and stuff just to try it out. So
Yeah.
we decided Friday was the best time to do that. So we like decided to just go out that night. We actually met up with the two people that we had met at the makgeolli tasting.
Tasting.
And then we went to like Hongdae.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say it took me back to college,
Very
me
that.
back to college.
Very that.
It was it was good. It was a good experience because it feels like we were supposed to do it, right?
Yeah.
I had looked at different places to go to beforehand just to have an idea of what to do, but it really brought me back to college and like it was fun, but it was also exhausting. Like,
It was so
it was,
tiring. Yeah.
it was we we got separated from like the people we had met from our friends, and we ended up a
Club
random bar. I
hopping?
don't even Yeah, we ended up at a club because they
S-
weren't asking for like money up front
Yeah.
and the
Well,
line
it
wasn't
was
too
funny
long.
because one of like when Laura was looking ahead at the research of like the places, first of all, she was looking for like Latin places, or she like, well, first of all, she had a list of like foreigner friendly places. That was our first like
Yeah.
line of separation or whatever. And then she was like, "Oh, these like have Latin places, so we can probably like we would like the music." So she, for example, found this place called La Luz, which was really funny because it was spelled La Rouge on Naver, like because of the Hangul romanization, and it was so cute. We have so many
Very
of those
cute.
moments that we just like were dying with how cute like the translations and romanizations were. And we were outside of the La Luz place, and they were playing Katy Perry, and we're like,
It
this is
was
not
terrible.
Latin stuff. Like, what
It
the
was
fuck?
terrible.
So we were kind of just going to places based on music and like how big
Wow.
the line was and if we had to pay cover or not. It's the same thing that you have here of like whenever you go to like Las Vegas or maybe like a club strip in Orlando or Austin that they're trying to like get you to come in and they give you like a little card and they're like no cover, free drink, come in, whatever. So we like made a line to go into a place which was terrible. They totally like did
Horrible.
not like the alcohol was not alcohol, like it was just the worst. So
They
we
served us cherry. Was it cherry
I don't know what it was, but it was
vodka?
disgusting.
It was just cherry
It
juice
was
that
just
they
like
called it
water.
vodka, whatever. It
Yeah.
was horrible. We stayed just because we used the restroom.
Yeah, we just
There
literally went
wasn't a
in to
line.
pee and like we left swiftly. And
Mm.
then we like passed by this other bar that was called FF, I think, that the music was sounded really good from the outside.
No, no, that wasn't FF. The
Oh,
FF
that
was a
was the
terrible
other
one.
one. It was
Yeah, yeah.
XX Sorry, it's because
XX,
of
yeah.
the double letter. So FF was the not good one, so not recommended.
No.
And XX was the good one. So we went into XX, and then there were these like people hanging out and like taking pictures by the mirror, and we ended up like hanging out with them and befriending them, like just like talking. They were students in Seoul. They were there for like a year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we just like had a good time talking and listening to the music there. And then I think at like 2 or 3 in the morning, we were like, it's late.
So I have a toxic trait where I either go home really early or I can go forever.
Yeah.
So like we kept looking at each other like, should we go? Like, because we had planned the next day to go to HYBE Insight.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had booked a 10 a.m. time. So like we
Mm-hmm.
had to wake up sort of early. So we kept looking at each other and we're like, should we go? Should we not? And it just kept getting later and later and later. And I think at that point we're like, yeah, we should probably go. But in reality, we could have probably stayed there
Yeah, we could have
till
kept
it
going.
closed.
There was also like a guy for me or something, and he was kind of pushing for things to go somewhere else that wasn't the club. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to just like cut it here. So that also had to do with it. Thank you, Laura, for wing-womaning for me. I really appreciated. She was being a good married lady, just like standing by her friend as her friend was having fun in Seoul. So
I
there
was
was
having
that.
a great time people watching.
She was,
It was really fun.
yeah,
I haven't seen a lot of people like hit on people in a long time because
yeah,
I got married. So I'm not really into that,
yeah,
like whatever. So it was kind of funny to like see people like flirting and like, trying to like see what's out there. It was
yeah,
cute. It was
yeah.
very college.
It was. It
Very
was
college.
that was the crowd that we were hanging out with, basically college kids. Like they could not believe that we were
Yeah.
not 23. They were like
Yeah.
shook that we were not 23. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, then
So
we left and then we
yeah,
were
the
at
only
the bus stop.
which is the only bad part. The subway closes really early
Yeah.
considering how late Seoul nightlife is open to.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to take the bus, COC, like we had no option. And Hongdae was a little far away from where we were staying in Myeongdong. So it felt like it took forever.
Well, this is where I was gonna go. So I was pretty drunk. I am not even gonna gloss over it. I had a great time. I got drinks bought for me. So at this point, we had been drinking basically since noon, since the Makgeolli
Yeah.
tasting.
Yeah.
So we drank a lot that day. And thankfully, Laura was just very much like on task with like finding our way back home. So we're at the bus stop, and I'm only mentioning this because of Harry. So I'm
Yeah.
at the bus stop and passed out. I'm just out like a light. And I had put a reminder because PH1's concert tickets were dropping that day at 10 a.m. local time. 10 a.m. in Miami was midnight for us. And I had put a calendar reminder, but because I was busy at the club, I did not get the reminder and I didn't see the alert to buy the tickets. So I'm at the bus stop, like passed out, and Laura goes, Harriet's tickets went on sale. It had been like already 2 or 3 hours at this point. I get up like from the dead and I'm like, oh my God. And then the bus arrives, and then I don't know how, but I bought tickets to go see Harry in Atlanta. I don't remember anything, but I
I
bought the tickets to go see Harry in Atlanta.
the buses were packed, so I was like trying to get at least a chair for us because like we needed it.
Yeah.
And like this one like man left and I was like, Kathy, sit right there. She just sat and passed out. I,
I didn't
it,
pass out until like
yes, you
the
did.
very end after buying the ticket.
Well,
I had
yeah.
to finish buying the
Yeah.
ticket. Yeah.
But like it was like an hour long bus ride. So it
It
was
was
pretty
not an
long.
hour,
It was
Laura.
45 minutes. It was
Really?
at least 45 minutes. Yes. It was very long.
I don't
Like
remember.
I was standing up and like trying to like not fall asleep because we were exhausted and like
Drunk.
it was forever. Like
It was
it
forever.
was the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah. And then I think we stopped at a 7-Eleven to buy some
Oh
like
yeah, I was really hungry.
some kimbap because
I was really
you will
hungry.
not catch us hungry. You will not catch us hungry.
So luckily, we really mostly had, I
Vodka.
think, vodka and soju, which are like
Mhm.
clear liquors,
Yeah.
sort of similar. So the next day we woke up fine.
That
We
was
were just
fine.
tired because we were perpetually tired the whole trip.
Yeah.
So we wake up and we were like, let's get it. Today's our K-pop day. We're going to go to HYBE. It's going to be great. We get to HYBE.
Well, first, Laura notices that like the forecast was for rain, so we
Oh,
took
yeah.
our rain jackets that day and whatever. And before we get to high, we have to mention that we took a cab because it was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
late. We woke up kind of late for when we had to get there, and the transportation, like
Yeah.
public transportation, was not gonna cut it. So we took a cab, and our cab driver was like, "Oh, BTS, you like?" And we were like, "Yes, BTS 좋아요." And then he's like, "Oh, something something. My favorite song is Fake Love." And we were both like, "Oh my god."
I was
Thank you,
dying. It was
God.
so cute.
It was
It
the
was
best
so
moment of our
cute.
lives. This taxi driver telling us, and he's like, "Oh, and you know, Jin's off to the military," and we're like, "Yes." Very. I'm giving a lot of words here that weren't said, but we just like knew that things were being said, and loud. We're like, "Yeah, favorite," you know, Jin, her,
That's
because yeah,
only reason I understood because he said Jin and I was like,
yeah, it was very
Jin.
cute. It was
It was
very cute.
adorable.
Yeah, he
So we
dropped
get
us
to
off.
he did right in front of the HYBE building. We get to
Mhm.
HYBE. We get to HYBE. We take out our little papers, our little tickets,
Yeah.
whatever. We go to the front.
Can I say that we were very organized about this? Like
Yes, we were super
we had
organized.
folders on our Google Drive that
Yeah.
were like the naming convention was by date that they were going to be used, so they
Mhm.
were in order. Like we really thought we had our shit so together for
So
this trip.
together.
And we did
And we
98% of the time.
So we get up to the HYBE building. Kathy takes out the paper because she had printed it out beforehand, just in case. And she shows it to this guy. Pause. Everyone that works at HYBE is beautiful. On pause. She
Facts.
gives this guy, her ticket, the tickets, what we thought were the tickets. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can go, but not her." And I'm like, "What did I do to you, my guy? Like, what did I
We're like, "Sorry, what?" They were like, "Yeah, you have one ticket." And I was like, "No, I bought two." Like, I don't remember what we bought or what we didn't buy. Like, again, we thought we had it together. We put all the vouchers in the folder, like, but they're like and then they were like, "Well, can you get in, like log in onto Global Interpark?" So trying to log in, whatever, this girl gets into like, because I give her my phone because I'm like, it's all in Korean. So she
do?
like goes to the back end, whatever, and she's like, "You only bought one ticket." And I was like, I only bought one ticket. And then I'm like confused. And then at this point it's like 10. So it's like our time to go in
Yeah.
is like now. And they're like the girl was literally like, "You can go in, but she can't." And I was like, how the fuck am I gonna go in with my friend? Like without my friend, like who would do that? Like the fact that they even said that to me, I was like, are you okay? Like do you have friends? Do you know how this works?
Girly, are you fine?
So we were like, I was concerned at that moment because I asked them, like, are there more tickets to go in today? And they're like, you can check the site. And I was like, well, knowing that it's like BTS and HYBE, I'm sure like the tickets have been sold out for decades.
And it was a
Thankfully,
Saturday
that
too.
wasn't the
Like,
case. Yeah, it was a Saturday.
so apparently with HYBE or with Global Interpark, whatever their thing is, you can only buy one ticket per account. And I guess like I had the task of buying the ticket, but like I forgot because Kathy was like, I got the ticket and like I gaslit myself to believe she had bought two tickets. Like we both did because usually we buy two. So it was weird because there were families there. So I guess they each made an account and each had to find a ticket for the right time.
or like maybe Interpark is different, but Global Interpark is different. But
Yeah.
there were a lot of international fans there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
So we found one at 1:30. It was like 11 by the time we got the other ticket because Global Interpark was not helping at all. It was not easy to maneuver. Like it was just a mess. And I couldn't remember my account. It was a mess. So we were right by the Han River because the HYBE building is right by the Han River. So we're like, let's just walk there and like chill. So like we walked there, and this is the point where I realized that I might have been a little hungover. So we waste time, we go to HYBE, and I think it's necessary that we talk a little bit about our experience there.
It is.
So, Kathy, how was your experience at HYBE Insight?
I love how you're asking me to put myself first out here.
I can put myself out there. I don't mind.
It's fine. I mean, you can start if you want because I feel like we feel the same way, but you probably feel more strongly about this
Yes, I
than I do.
do. So we get both tickets. We go in. Everyone's beautiful. You can't have book bags, so we kind of leave our book bags in lockers that they provide for free. And we're like super excited to go because like HYBE, you know, BTS, you know, whatever. We go in and they hold us in a room so they have like a big enough group to start the whole process because you can only be within the exhibition for I think like 90 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Maybe a little bit less. So
I
they
think it's
they
80 minutes.
80. So they like do like very Disney, very Universal, very theme park where like they wait for a really big group and then they like send you off.
Yeah.
So they did that and you can't take pictures, which is like I get it, but at the same time, like, why?
Well, now we know why you can't take pictures.
Well, yeah, now I guess, yeah, that's true. So I don't know what I was expecting, but it was definitely not what we saw. It
And to
was,
clarify, this was a specific exhibit that was open from late September until November for
yeah,
proof, like
right.
for that album specifically.
It was, I guess you could call it an exhibit, but it wasn't very good. There
There
was,
just wasn't a lot of things that we haven't already seen.
right. And it wasn't interactive. Like I feel like I've been to museums where they have probably less money than HYBE and they make the exhibits a little bit more interactive. Like, I wanted fucking stamps. Where are my stamps, my guys? Like, there was nothing to keep my brain in the task at hand, which was looking at this exhibit. And there was a lot of like writing, which even when I go to museums, I don't really read. I just kind of look. I'm a very like visual person.
Yeah.
So it was just pretty much pictures that we have seen that we have literally in our phone and music in the background. And
Yeah.
that's about it. Like there was nothing else.
Yeah, it's you just expect more from Hybe. Like Laura said, a company that has so much money, you would think that there was going to be more hoopla around, especially like this could basically be the last one that they had before the members enlisted and everything. Like, you know, there wasn't really like they had things like I don't know, the statue from Fake Love and like the piano and whatever, but there was I don't know, it just like felt like someone said just bring all the props into here and put a bunch of pictures on the wall. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if this is what happened, but we went into a room that was very very tall and they had pictures all the way to the top, but you couldn't even see them cuz like once they're higher up, you can't see well. And I'm
Right.
pretty sure that was the trophy room. So they covered the trophies cuz we never saw them. And
Mm-mm.
people who go to the like to Hybe Insight now are seeing the trophies. So I'm pretty sure it was that place, but don't quote me on this because I may be wrong, but like we never saw the trophies, which like would have been more exciting to see than literally anything else
Yeah.
we saw there. And then they had all these pictures that we couldn't even see, and again we have already seen most of them. They had some like dance practice videos, some things here and there, but like yeah, it didn't really like it wasn't anything super exciting. There wasn't anything engaging, like Laura said, interactive. And you're just like walking, seeing things. It almost feels like when you're about to ride a ride in Disney that you're
Yeah.
walking around the pre-ride to
Right.
just like keep you somewhat entertained, but there was
Yeah.
never a ride at the end of it.
Right. And like they could have done so many things because they're such a big company with so much money. They're charging an arm and a leg for everything that they sell in the weaver shop. Like
Yeah.
they're charging for the entrance to this. Like they make a good amount of money. Like and they could have made more like put a photo booth like where like the members come out from like you know what I mean, like where you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
put the
yeah.
members inside of the pictures. Like I
Yeah.
would have paid for that. Like
Yeah.
put a freaking PC machine. Like
Well, they had the PC dispenser for us.
yeah, but
Like,
that was like you get what I mean? Like if you had given me another PC machine or dispenser that was
yeah.
like with like old photo cards or something, like I would have spent all my money there. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they could have
100%.
made it so much better with so little money.
Yeah,
It just felt kind of like thrown together, sort of like without any thought or any army person behind it,
yeah,
which is unusual. So it was just like, it was weird. I
yeah,
didn't like it. I mean, like, I'm glad we went because, like, obviously, I needed to be in the high building
yeah,
and possibly breathe the same air that Jin sometime in his life probably breathed. breath, whatever, and woozy too. But it was just whatever.
It was whatever. I was more pissed about the fact that they charged us for the bags at the end of the freaking like
Like
merch buying.
a one.
I was like, it was like 101. Yeah, it was like not even $1. But I was just like, you're charging me for this after I already had to pay for tickets twice because you didn't want to let me in with my friend earlier. And also, like, I'm already buying not hundreds, but a couple $100 worth of merch. I'm like, you can't just give me the fucking bag.
Yeah.
Like, it felt very money grabby, all in all, which is fine. Like, we know that HYBE is like as capitalist as they come.
Yeah.
But it was a little underwhelming on the exhibit part, and
Yeah.
that was unfortunate. But
Yeah.
we know the members have nothing to do with that, so it is what it
No,
is.
it's just a company.
Yeah.
And that was like our K-poppy day. It sort of sucked because once we left HYBE, it started raining. So the rest of the activities that we did were kind of hindered by the rain.
Yeah, I kind of got
Um,
slashed.
we went to Starship, but it was raining, so like we could only take like a super quick picture.
Yeah,
We did see some trainees go in,
we
or
did.
what I assume were trainees because they look very young.
They
We also did like SM, but again, it was rainy, so it was like
yeah,
towards the end of the day too, and I
yeah.
was very tired.
We went to the Line Friends World pop-up, got a couple things to bring back
They were cute.
for
That
our
was cute.
friends. It was cute, but it was cuter during the day and without the rain because they had like
Right,
cotton candy and all these things that we didn't get
right,
to see. So,
right.
what were you gonna say?
That pop up basically felt the same as the HYBE exhibition, like pretty much
Yeah, basically. And they had
shorter,
stamps.
and they had freaking stamps. Why? Stamps are not that expensive.
No, they're not.
Like,
Especially when it's like a ink thing.
right, right.
Yeah.
I would have fucking loved a stamp.
Like a little passport of like BTS proof stuff. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah, it
cute.
would have been adorable.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was that day.
Yeah. And
Anything
we
else you
went
want to say?
to the Starlight Library,
Oh
the
yeah.
Coex, and the Hyundai department store. We ate there at the food court. It was okay. That's where you also had like a minor allergy
Yeah,
moment.
I don't know what I ate
Yeah.
because they don't really tell you all of the ingredients of like the
Yeah.
side dishes.
Mm.
They tell you the ingredients of the main dish,
Yeah.
but not the ingredients of the side dishes.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know how to say that I was like allergic to shellfish, so it was just like it was weird.
Yeah.
But
And
the
we
food
had
was
we had
okay.
talked about possibly going back out that night, but with the rain, it was
It
just like
was just
no.
yeah,
We wanted to see also Soul Forest because it's right next to SM.
yeah,
Rain, so we just kind of had to go home at that point.
yeah. And then the next day, really, the only thing that we had planned super big was the Treasure concert. And our day sort of revolved around that. I actually adopted a child in the subway.
Laura has a couple kids now that she just like saw them in South Korea and was like, "This is my child now." So she thinks about them often and wonders how they're up to
That's
or what
my
they're up to.
Delulu.
Yeah,
I'm a married lady. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for children to adopt.
yeah. We were on line 5, which is the purple one, which is very deceiving because we actually got on the wrong train and we totally had to like get off and come back up and come back and we lost about an hour, I would
One
say,
whole hour, yeah.
of time because we were gonna like get to the Olympic Stadium Park area or Olympic Park area and eat comfortably with like proper time. We didn't know when we had to get there to pick up our tickets and we were kind of expecting maybe there to be an issue with the pickup or
Yeah,
anything, but everything went like smooth sailing.
super smooth.
And yeah, then we went to the concert. So that was our whole focus for the day was just
Yeah,
that.
it was very fun. I enjoyed it. Very different than what we're used to.
Yeah.
But it was very fun. It's just funny to me that the last concert I went to was that, and then the next concert is gonna be Daddy Yankee.
We're going to Daddy Yankee tomorrow. So by the time you guys see this, we will have already gone to Daddy Yankee. Now that'll be our last concert of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have TikToks on the ticket buying experience
Yeah.
for the concert as well as a summary of the concert itself. They will be linked in the description if you want to see more of that. But all in all, Treasure is great. They really deliver an awesome concert full with high octane volcano lava for all of
Yes.
us to enjoy. And a lot of people on TikTok have been commenting, like, because we mentioned in the narration of the video that, like, all the fans like are sitting unless artist tells you to like stand up, and you don't really like sing along unless like it's part of the fan chant.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, no, I'd be so bored. I prefer the US and whatever. And it's like, yeah, Laura was struggling a little bit sitting down in the chair because she's more of the wants to be hype and dance and whatever.
Yeah.
But it has its charm. Like you're
Yeah, it
sitting down,
does.
so you're kind of relaxed, and we're still moving. We're still like singing along a little bit here and there. Like it's just not screaming
Yeah.
and standing the whole time, which is kind of tiresome. And a lot
Yeah.
of people were commenting too, like they have either disabilities, so they don't really go to concerts because people are gonna stand the whole time and they can't sit comfortably and watch, or people with ASD, and it's very overwhelming to have everyone screaming the whole time. So there's both sides to be considered here.
Yeah.
So
It
pros
was
and
pretty
cons.
cool. We
Yeah.
enjoyed it. So another thing that we wanted to try while we were in Korea was won soju. Kathy had seen on Instagram that a couple bars were now selling won soju. So we
And
like
like had custom drinks for like
right.
limited time. Yeah.
So we decided to like try to hit one of those bars. They were mostly in Gangnam, and coming back to our hotel, we basically had to pass by it. So we're like, this is a perfect time. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
So we decided on one because it was close to like where a bus would drop us, or like the metro. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So we chose it because it was close.
I think it was because of the bus stop, and also because it was a rooftop thing. So it kind of felt like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hadn't had like cocktails in like a fancy place our whole trip. So like it was like a change of pace.
Yeah.
So we went to this place. It was super cute. It was a Sunday night, so it was pretty empty.
Yeah.
It was like us, these two dudes, and then like a group of like foreigners that were being
Mm.
super rowdy.
And people like in
Um
the balcony were more sitting outside, I think.
right. But it was pretty cool. The drinks were amazing. The
Yeah.
drinks were very much Miami prices.
Yeah, this is the only place where like you can we were kind of like brought back home a little early, because
Yeah,
everywhere
yeah.
else, you're paying like what, 2001 for a bottle of
Yeah.
soju, like
Yeah.
not bad at all, but here it was about 22 to 24,001, which is about 18, 19, $20.
Right.
So it's Miami prices for the drinks, but they were really good. They had like custom drinks that the bartenders themselves created with one soju. That second one that we tried, that we had another one of
Yeah.
it, was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And those bartenders were so much fun. They were like, "Oh, we want to go to Miami," and we're like, "Come, Art Basel's in a couple weeks. It's a great time." So they made us a bunch of drinks, and they recommended, because we asked them like, "Do you have any other bars that we should hit up in Seoul?" And they were like, "Oh, you should go to this place." And he showed me like the Instagram account, so I took a picture of it, and then they called us a cab to go home because Laura learned by this point that taxis don't really like accept foreigner requests. So when you have someone from Korea call the taxi, they will show up actually, and they
And it's safer. Like we had already like been
yeah,
drinking, we were tired. It's safer because they tell you about how much the trip is going to be, and they
yeah,
tell you which taxi it is. So
yeah,
it just felt overall easier. Like it was fine. We were tired, and it
yeah.
ended up being not expensive at
It's
all. It
like
was only
10 or
like
11,000
yeah,
won.
not
Not
not a
bad at
big
all.
deal. And this place was definitely more vibe. It was more grown up. It
Mm-hmm.
was more lady in your 30s.
Yeah,
The drinks were delicious, and like I kind of wish we would have tried a place like this in the other cities that we were in. I
yeah,
understand that like we were just very tired and we'd go to bed
yeah,
literally by like 9 or 8:30 would be like passed out.
yeah,
But it was definitely way more our vibe.
yeah.
And so the next day, after a long, long day, we decided to go to the bar that they recommended. And it
Mm-hmm.
was
It was an
so
experience. So
good.
we didn't know when he showed us the Instagram anything. He just
Mhm.
showed us the name of the place. Laura put it in the map as usual to look at it, go to it. And it turned out to be a speakeasy that is actually hidden in the middle of Myeongdong. So we really couldn't find it. We were like outside of the building because, the map tells you you have arrived. And we go into like the building. There's nothing on like the map of the elevator that tells you like what floor it's
Nothing.
on, nothing. So we were looking at reviews, and everybody basically that left reviews was like, "Good luck finding it," heh heh. And we were like, "Fuck you!" Like, how are we supposed to find the place? But we kind of like, I think we had like an idea of where it could be because there was
Yeah.
nothing on that floor. on the signage for it, and you found a review that said like it's on this floor. So we're not
Yeah.
gonna tell you because we're also now part of the club, like whatever. So we got up there, and they were like, "Do you have a reservation?" And we're like, "No,
We're supposed to have a reservation.
no." And they're like, "Well, I heard 20, Laura heard 2, like
Yeah.
teams ahead of you." And they're like, "We'll call you back when we like have seating." And we're like, "Can you please sit us at the bar?" And they're like, "We'll see what we can do, but like, shut up, go away." So we left to like walk around and I think maybe see if we saw like cool street food or souvenirs or whatever. We had just
Yeah.
had dinner, so we weren't really hungry. And then they called us, and we had gone kind of like a little far, like not too far, but they called us and they're like, Laura says that like from their tone of voice, they were basically expecting us to be outside the elevator just salivating and waiting for this call. We had
Literally.
moved on with our lives. Like we were gone. And Laura was like, we'll be there. And she looks at me and I go, 5 minutes. And she's like, 5 minutes. And we start running through Myeongdong, like running.
We hadn't been that excited in quite a while.
It was great. It was great. We were like just gunning it through all the tourists. It felt kind of like a movie. Like I wish I had been. We were laughing as we were running. It was really fun, guys. It was just like it was a great time. So we got there literally within the 5 minutes. It was perfect
We're
timing.
like trying to catch our breath, pretending we didn't just run.
I was like sweating and like fully like hi, like trying to be at this like nice bar. And fun note, when we went the first time, we walked in and then we walked down. Laura goes, "I think that was Jin Young from GOT7." This bitch is out of her mind. We went back. That was
It
not
was
Jin
very
Young.
dark and I'm blind, guys.
It was not Jin Young. But I was like, oh, it would
It was
totally
kinda
make
cool,
sense for
though.
him to be like at the hidden speakeasy. Yeah, it totally makes like all the sense, but it wasn't him. So but yeah, we sat down and there's like 5 bartenders, and it takes a long time to make all the drinks. So it made sense that there
So
were so
long.
many bartenders. It's a very small place. They also have seats, like chairs and booths, but we were happy to be seated at the bar. That's what we wanted, so we could interact with the bartenders. And like the main bartender kind of looked like Onu from Shiny. So we started calling him Jinky between ourselves, and he was just so cute. The cutest freaking thing.
Very nice.
He made amazing drinks for us. We had multiple bartenders make drinks for us
Yeah.
that night. They kind of rotate.
I had a tequila drink which had
Cherry tomatoes.
carrot. Yeah, and they were the best cherry tomatoes I've ever tried. They actually tasted like fruit. Like
Yeah, so they
it was
make
so good.
their drinks, and they make their menu based on seasonal fruits, and their drinks don't have names of like, I don't know, the slutty foreigner. Like it doesn't have a drink, a name on the drink. It just says like the main ingredient based on the fruit that's like available. So I had the ginseng, which was a vodka, basically like a Moscow Mule, but like a fancier, better
Yeah.
custom Moscow Mule. And they infuse the vodka, like all the spirits that are in those drinks, they infuse them with the fruit that it's like supposed to have. So, because Laura had asked if they can switch one of the liquors for her so she wouldn't be drinking multiple things. And they were like, actually, no, because we infused the liquor with it. So, suck it up. And she was like, yes,
I
sir, I
did.
will. And it was great. She was fine.
It was amazing. It was a
Yeah.
really, really good drink.
Yeah.
It was also very much our vibe. Like we were just chilling, just talking, having some good drinks, also expensive drinks, like
Also at the
very
same
Miami.
price of the bar the day before. So, but it was fine.
It was fine because we really hadn't done that in the whole
Yeah.
trip. So it was only 2 nights. So it was
Yeah.
okay.
It was a Monday night and it was still packed. So if you're thinking about going to
Yeah.
Suok Hee, something like that, you definitely need to make a reservation
Yeah,
because
do that.
they are in high demand, especially with their speakeasy vibe and stuff. So
Yeah. It was very, very, very cute.
So for Monday and Tuesday were our last full days in Korea. We were coming back on Wednesday. So we basically just took advantage of the fact that we were in Myeongdong, which is very central, and we walked around little areas that were cute and that we wanted to hit up. So that's what we did during the day. And then for Tuesday night, we went to a music show. So Laura had found in advance of us going this opportunity to go to a music show. There's one specifically called The Show, which I think is one of the only ones that you can go to by paying for it and as a
Yeah.
foreigner, because all the other music shows like Inkigayo, Music Bank, Music Core, whatever, you have to be like in the fandom. You have to apply for tickets and have a lottery. And I did see some comments on the TikTok that we posted about it that maybe one of the shows had started to like accept payment to go, but it's not a common thing. So the
Yeah.
only show that you can really go to as a foreigner for the most part, if you're not a member of one of the fandoms, is The Show. We did a TikTok about it, so we'll let you see all the groups that we saw there and whatever. We'll just say it wasn't the most fun experience in the
Mm-mm.
sense of like it is fun to go watch a K-pop show being recorded,
Yeah.
but they basically record like 3 times the same episode that day. They record different numbers with different outfits, and they're not catering to the audience in studio at all. They only care about the TV audience. So
Right.
they never introduce the groups that are coming on stage. Like we might see the segment that plays before for the TV people, but it's not like we don't see the MCs because they don't really get on the stage. They record from another area that was like covered by the cameras for us at least. And we saw over 15 groups that day. So it's
Yeah.
like very back to back. It's a 2 hour taping. It took about an hour 45 in total,
Yeah.
including at the end when like they have the winning ceremony and the winners perform like their song for the fans. So it really is like within an hour, 15 minutes, you see 15 different acts.
Overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Like they come on the stage, and so some of them come on, they do one song and they leave. Like when they get on the stage, they're very quiet and they're just kind of like waving at the fans, the ones that are like in the little rectangle in front of them, which is like maybe 200 fans, and then the people in the audience, they can't really see us because it's all dark. So it's really mostly with like the fans at the front. And maybe they do one number and then they get off, or maybe they start doing a second song and then they leave in the middle of it, which we were very confused by what was happening. But we were sitting behind the camera crew and we could see a monitor that basically was playing out what people were going to see on TV. And that's when we noticed that they basically had pre-recorded that song before with a different outfit, and they just did like another half in front of us for like us, but it's not really for the show or whatever. So it was a bunch of like moments like that, and it was just like back to back to back. You can't use your phone at all, like not even to text. Like they'll come and tell you to leave if you're using your phone, or they'll at least like tell you off or whatever. And yeah, so like, and it's very cold as it's
Very
expected of
cold.
a TV station. So we were kind of like excited when it ended. Like we
Yeah.
were ready for it to end.
I was over it. I was
Yeah.
done. It was too much for me. I was cold. I was hungry. I wanted a beer.
Yeah.
I regretted not having more drinks before, to be quite honest, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
From comments that we've seen on TikTok, there's been people that have said that other shows are better and they're
Yeah.
not as jarring for fans.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to a music show and you can get into one of the better ones, highly recommend. The show, I don't think it's like we
Not
wouldn't
worth
do
it.
it again at
Unless
all.
your faves are going, then it
Which
might be
you can't
worth
really
it.
plan for in advance. Like
That's
unless you know
true.
someone's having a comeback, but even like the really big groups don't really go to the show, I don't think
Not
anymore.
anymore. Yeah.
So I think, because we saw the list of who was going the day before. The day before the show, they post a list, but they can pull out last minute.
Right.
So it's not really guaranteed. And yeah, like if you want to go and experience it, by all means, as long as you're mentally prepared
Yeah.
for what it is, I think you'll be fine. But just know
Okay.
that it's very overwhelming. But we wouldn't do that show again.
And so that I think that concludes our little story time on Seoul and Daegu. We had a
Yeah.
really fun time. In conclusion, if you can take a trip, just fucking do it. Because you
Yeah.
might not be able to later. The pandemic taught us this. So
Yeah.
just do it. I'm so
100%.
happy that we went, and I'm just really happy we did it.
And we did it at the perfect time. The season, we already talked about why we went during this time. It was perfect. We saw pictures of South Korea a couple days ago, like
Yeah.
covered in snow,
Wasn't it?
very cold. When we
Yeah.
went, like the temperature was perfect. It
Perfect.
was just we got really good weather, except for a couple of rainy days in Seoul, which we, expected.
That's fine.
You didn't really go to Seoul if it didn't rain, kind of thing.
Right.
So it just allowed us to have a very broad experience across different cities. And we're really happy that we did all the cities that we did, that we
Yeah.
did all the things that we did.
Yeah.
We obviously, if we could have fit more in the agenda, we maybe might have or could have, but I'm very happy. I'm very
Yeah.
satisfied with the amount of ground that we covered. And if you guys want any help with planning your own trips, like reach out. We're happy to answer questions. We're
Mhm.
posting on the blog all our tips and all our stuff. And we might have something to do with itineraries later on this new year coming up.
Yeah.
So, because Laura loves to plan and stuff like that, so we can definitely help with that. And that's it from me.
And actually, that's a great segue to say thank you so much for tuning into our season 2. We are really excited for season 3 and
We are.
hope you continue to support us. We have a lot of really, really cool things planned for you guys in the next year, and we can't wait to show you.
Yeah. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we're celebrating our 1 year anniversary and the end of season 2. So we're actually going to be doing a giveaway of a cute badge set that we got at HYBE. We just want those of you who listen to us and are legit awesome fans and supporters to be able to enter this giveaway. And just to participate, we're going to have you check out the link in our bio on our Instagram. So go to our Instagram, click on the link in our bio, which is our link tree, and you will see something that says giveaway. So the information of what you need to do in order to submit your entry will be there. So,
and just as a reminder, our Instagram is at MIA2K podcast, MIA the number 2 K podcast.
yes. Happy New Year. We are posting this the day after Christmas, so hope y'all had a Merry Christmas. Those of you who celebrate, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, happy whatever you celebrate. We hope you're having a great time and staying safe and stay healthy. And see you next year.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the MIA2K podcast. We have lots of great content coming up ahead, so please don't forget to follow and subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you enjoyed our episodes, please rate us 5 stars.
And for the real-time tea, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook by searching for @MIA2K Podcast. Dale! Bye!